Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Redacted Report. I am your host, coming to you from an undisclosed location. And our top story today is Goldberg. More specifically, my thoughts on Goldberg's return at Elimination Chamber to face Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship. I want to talk a little bit about what I think of it, some opinions other people have had, and how my thoughts may differ from theirs. So, let's get right to it. As any wrestling fan knows, Goldberg made his return to WWE on SmackDown this week to challenge Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship at the Elimination Chamber, quote-unquote premium live event to be held in Saudi Arabia. Now, I want to start this by saying, I've never been a huge Goldberg fan myself. I recognize the impact he's had and everything. Obviously, you can't deny that. But I've never been the biggest Goldberg fan in my life. At the time, during the Attitude Era, when he was at his apex, I was more of a WWF fan. I'm going to say WWF because that's what it was at the time. And a Steve Austin guy. And Goldberg was the best thing WCW had, and it was completely botched by all the terrible booking and everything. But that could be another story for another time. But that being said, me not being a big fan of Goldberg, you can't deny his impact. And you can't deny how over he was and how over he still is. He's not what he once was, but he's still a guy. He brings a lot of eyes to the product. Whether you want to believe that or not, he's not a good wrestler. And there are a lot of people on the WWE roster, like 99% of the WWE roster, are better in-ring performers than he is. But he's going to get the spots over them for the simple reason of the impact he makes. And like it or not, Bill Goldberg brings eyes to the product. He brings the casual fans' eyes to the product. Now, they may not come in droves, but any additional eyes on the product and additional attention the product gets from bringing back a legend, it's all gravy for the WWE. Because the WWE is not hurting for money. Everybody wants to say how bad the company is and how they're dying and they're not going to be around much longer. They just reported over $1 billion in revenue. That's the most revenue. That's their highest revenue they've ever had in the company. So they're fine. Their ratings may not be great, and the in-ring product and television product is horrible right now. But that's to say across wrestling altogether, it's just terrible. But the fact of the matter is, they are. The network's going strong. They have TV deals and streaming deals, and they just inked a deal with Disney Plus in Indonesia to broadcast the WWE Network, and they're basically selling the WWE Network to individual countries, and they're going to sell it to whatever streaming service is big in that country. So they're making money hand over fist. And one of the reasons why they have these eyes on the product is because of people like Goldberg. It's the same with if they brought back The Rock, or when Brock Lesnar comes back from his hiatuses, or Steve Austin or something like that. It's now there's varying degrees, obviously, of impact and eyes on a product. The Rock returning was going to bring a hell of a lot more attention than Goldberg. Obviously, The Rock is just bigger than Goldberg, but Goldberg is there, and a lot of people are pissed off about it, and I'm not that pissed off about it because, although I'm not a huge Goldberg fan, the way he's been portrayed, for the most part, since he came back in 2016 when he beat Brock in 30-some-odd seconds or something like that, that's how they should have portrayed Goldberg in his first WWE run, and that disaster that ended with a disastrous match at WrestleMania 20 with him and Brock. That's not what they need to push him as this unstoppable, unbeatable monster, even though he's not what he once was. He's shown that in some of his matches. He needs to have an opponent that fits, that meshes well with him. And that's why I think, much like Brock Lesnar, because if you take the first match at WrestleMania 20 out of the equation, Brock Lesnar and Goldberg matches have been entertaining. They haven't been classic matches. They haven't been match of the year. And, Uncle Dave won't give it a 9-star rating, but they've been entertaining. They've been hard-hitting, short, hard-hitting, in-your-face matches, which are fun. That's why I think that his feud with Reigns, which they've been trying to do for, the last 3 years, and COVID's gotten away with it. They've been wanting to do that at WrestleMania for a while, and it was bound to happen. And I think their styles are going to mesh well together, and it's going to be an entertaining match. I'm okay with this match happening. Because, one thing, like it or not, Goldberg is more over than the majority of the people you want to be pushed. That's just the way it is. More people care about Goldberg than they care about a lot of people on the WWE roster. Like, I'll speak as a fan. Now, I know this is just my opinion, but I would rather see Goldberg than I would Sami Zayn or Damian Priest or Riddle or even Kevin Owens at times. I like Kevin Owens, but if it comes to Goldberg, I would rather see Goldberg have a fight than Kevin Owens. Sometimes, for the most part. That being said, going back to how they pushed Goldberg since he came back, I don't think he should have beat Kevin Owens for the Universal title that first time, or he shouldn't have beat The Fiend for the Universal title the second time. Was the Universal title? I think he's won the Universal title both times. I could be wrong, but he's won one of their big titles twice. And of course, people will say that he ruined The Fiend, and I got news for you. The Fiend character was ruined months before in that god-awful feud with Seth Rollins that culminated in that horrible Hell in a Cell match that was just... nothing good came out of that. That's when the Fiend character was ruined, so you can't blame Goldberg for that. I don't think Goldberg should have won the title over him, but hey, I digress. It doesn't matter. And of course, he won the title so he could drop it to Reigns, but then COVID hit and Reigns took a leave of absence and all that stuff. But that's what they're going to keep bringing Goldberg back, like they bring the Legends back, because the Legends they're over. They're a name. They're going to bring more eyes to the product, whether you like it or not. And another thing is, I'm not 100% sure that it's all Vince McMahon and WWE making this decision to bring Goldberg back, because this show in Saudi Arabia, whoever over there, I don't know the structure of what goes on, but whoever's paying Vince McMahon millions and millions, and I'm talking tens of millions of dollars, it would not shock me if that's how much they're paying for this one show and about a week of appearances. So, and if they're paying that much money, they're going to want certain people on the roster. That's why you see Undertaker appearances, and you may see an Undertaker appearance at Saudi Arabia this time. And they want guys like Goldberg, and they want Brock Lesnar, and they want these legends because that's who their people want to see. That's who their people know. And for people paying tens of millions of dollars to broadcast one show, they're going to get what they want. Because the money that they probably bring in from Saudi Arabia alone is, if I want to compare it to AEW, the money they bring in on this one show is probably more than AEW would bring in a year in revenue. I could be wrong about that. I haven't done the appropriate legwork, but... And like a lot of people on Twitter have been talking about that. That's why I watch AEW, because they're bringing back Goldberg, and because they call him Oldberg. And that's why I watch AEW, because it's better wrestling. I got news for you. Goldberg, whether you like him or not, is more over and has drawn more money than 99% of the AEW roster. The only exceptions in AEW that could draw more money than Goldberg over time, Daniel Bryan, yes. And then Jon Moxley, maybe. And CM Punk, maybe. Let's be honest. I mean, CM Punk's never been that big of a draw. I mean, that shows that when during his match with MJF a week ago, the rating dipped considerably during that match. Because, I mean, let's face it. I can make a whole video on how CM Punk is nowhere near the draw and star people think he is, because he's not. But maybe another video for another time. This was about Goldberg, but he's more over than... I can count probably on both my hands wrestlers that you could bring back that have drawn more money and sold out more. Like I said, nobody in the AEW roster outside of Daniel Bryan would ever sell out the Georgia Dome for a television show. Like, however many people showed up in the Georgia Dome the night he beat Hogan, which was a total mistake and one of the beginnings of the true downfall of WCW, what they did there. Giving that match away on free TV was stupid. Sort of like what Tony Khan does now with AEW, giving away pay-per-view matches for free and overusing some of his talent, like CM Punk, for instance. CM Punk should have been used as an attraction, not an every week wrestler. But that's why Goldberg is brought back to the company, because he's a name, and he's going to draw money. He's going to get... People are going... And when he wrestles, he's going to probably wrestle at WrestleMania, maybe. I don't know who he would wrestle, but I wouldn't be shocked if he shows up at WrestleMania. I don't think he's going to beat Roman, because I do think that they're going... I mean, this show is... The Saudi Arabia show is going to be different, and I will make a video about that separate. I don't think Goldberg is beating Roman Reigns for the title. I don't think that they're going to have Reigns' 500-plus day title reign ended by Goldberg, and he doesn't need to. Like, no one expects Goldberg at his age. No one really expects him to beat anybody. Now, he's beaten people. Goldberg's beaten Lesnar. He's beaten Kevin Owens. He's beaten Bray Wyatt. He's beaten Bobby Lashley. And he beat Bobby Lashley at the last Saudi Arabia show, I believe. That's what the people of Saudi Arabia want him, and they're the ones picking up the tab for this. So basically, Vince McMahon will get whoever they want. If they wanted freaking Steve Austin to wrestle, I'm sure Vince McMahon would pay Austin whatever he wanted to come out and have a 10-minute match with someone. This is the way that works. So Goldberg he's a name. He's still going to draw attention. He's still going to draw money. And if he wrestles at WrestleMania, there will be people in that arena that would pay to see Goldberg. Okay, there are people at Jerry World who will pay to see Goldberg. He's not the star he once was back in the day, but he's still, and the way WWE is using him overall is pretty good. You don't want to ram him down your throats like that, because it wouldn't work, and people would go against it. And like they did with the way they pushed Roman Reigns for so long, until they finally basically let him be himself, and he's kind of a cocky heel, which is a lot more to what it seems like his personality is. And this is something that the WWE needs to be careful with Lesnar, although this version of Lesnar, Happy Lesnar, is actually entertaining as hell, and he seems like he's having fun. Still, you don't want to push it too far. And Goldberg comes in a couple of times a year just to have a quick 8 to 10 minute match that's a high impact, basically a fight. I'm okay with that, and it's entertaining to me. I think that Reigns and Lesnar are going to have a good fight, because not Reigns and Lesnar, excuse me, I apologize. Reigns and Goldberg, forgive me for that little snafu. I'm getting ahead of myself. But that match is going to be a tough, hard-hitting match. Not going to be a long match, but it's going to be a tough, hard-hitting fight. Because, that's what Goldberg's good at, and Roman Reigns is not afraid to work stiff. Like, him and Brock Lesnar will beat the hell out of each other. They've done it before, and they'll do it again. And the same thing's going to happen with Goldberg. Goldberg will go in there and do what he does. Give the people a thrill. People will cheer it. He'll lose. But the people will be happy. That's all that matters. And that's all that matters, is making the people happy. And the majority of people may not like the fact that they bring the legends back, Goldberg in particular, back for these matches. But the bottom line is, there's no one else. Who else are they going to want to? The people of Saudi Arabia are going to want to see Lesnar fight. Honestly, nobody. That's the match. If you don't want to pull the trigger on the Lesnar Reigns match, it's Goldberg. There's really nobody else that the people would want to see for a special attraction match. Goldberg is an attraction. He brings the eyes to the product, whether you like it or not. That's the way it is. And that's the way it's going to be for the foreseeable future, as long as they want to keep bringing Goldberg back to make probably, $500,000 on the low end of things. Maybe even more, who knows. Especially with these Saudi Arabia shows. The pay for these Saudi Arabia shows is pretty big. Like, people will still want to talk about how this is blood money and the WWE doesn't care. It's like, hey, no one's got a gun to these people's head to go to this show. But the bottom line is, a lot of the guys, especially the mid-card guys and lower who go on this show, they probably make more money for this one appearance than they make in their bottom-end guarantee all year. So, blood money spends the same as regular money. No one really cares, Saudi Arabia has done a lot of bad stuff, but, so is every other country. It does. Is it shady? Absolutely. Would I go and do that if I was a wrestler and I had a chance to make, $200,000-$300,000 for a 1 week tour of first class accommodations in one match and one night? You damn right I would. I don't care. Pay me all that money. And people like John Cena and Daniel Bryan, they don't have to go and do that. They've opted out of these shows for that reason. They don't have to do that. They don't have to go to the show. They've already got money. But a lot of these people, they want money. Goldberg does hell. He don't need the money. But he does it because it's more money. If the little's a lot, more must be better. So that's basically what it is. It's money. He brings more money and more revenue to the product. The people at Saudi Arabia who are paying millions and millions of dollars to host a WWE show, they get what they want, and they want Goldberg. That's why Goldberg's always on these Saudi Arabia shows. He makes all kinds of money. and then he can basically just have 1 or 2 matches a year over there, make $1 million, and everybody's happy. So that's basically all I have to say on that subject. Goldberg is just more over than all your little indie darlings that you love so much. I'm sorry, it's like that's just the way it is. That's reality. That's reality. But let me know in the comments what you think, because I'm curious, because a lot of people are not going to agree with me, and I'm probably going to get a lot of venom spewed my way for this, but hey, everybody's got an opinion. This is just mine. Just my opinion. That's all it is. I've got no facts and figures, no notes in front of me. This is just what I believe from my own perceptions. But that's the news for the day. I thank you for watching, and I hope you will join me next time on the Redacted Report. But until we see each other again, take care.